On today's show, it's Pistol Pete. We catch up with our good friend Oskar Pettersson following his award-winning performance at Senators Development Camp.
We get into his time in Ottawa last week and adjusting as a centerman with the Belleville Senators last season.
This is Brady Tkachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today is Tuesday, July 8th, and Pilsy, still waiting for all those trades we were promised.
I don't think we had a single trade yesterday.
Nope. Is Alan Walsh a liar?
Maybe just an exaggerator. I'm sure there is going to be some trades. We did have a couple signings, nothing major. I think Cam York, Jack McBain got some extensions, but other than that, it's been pretty quiet.
Do we expect it to stay that way in Ottawa? Yesterday we talked about how Alan Walsh says league trade talk will pick up, so maybe no action. Okay, Alan, you got us on wording there. But do you think that Steve Staios should still be busy on the phones?
I think the busiest on the phone he should be, Ross, is with Shane Pinto's agent. I would say that's probably the priority, is working on that extension, getting that done before the season starts. But, I mean, there is still some decent names out there, like a guy on your wish list, Ross, Victor Olofsson. He's still available. A guy that's been kind of loosely attached to the Sens, Jack Roslovic, he's still available. Those are probably the top two guys, free agents that are available. And like I said yesterday, there is some teams that have to do some cap management, and I can see some more deals coming down the pipeline here. But as far as Ottawa and Steve Staios are concerned, I would say keep waiting. Dip into the bargain bin later on, but focus on getting that Shane Pinto extension at least in the works. There's no rush, really. You still got time, but I do think it would be good for the team to get this done before the season starts.
And a number of poor situations with his negotiations in the past. I think it would just be such an important piece to really click into the puzzle here early on and just say, hey, look, Shane, you are a part of the core of this team. You clearly, we believe, have more offensive potential than the numbers would show in a full season. And he is the most relied upon defensive forward for the Ottawa Senators, top PK guy. And maybe we'll get him on the power play next year. I know he wants it. We all want it. He was great on the power play the year before with Claude Giroux, that little bump play they did on the half wall, but you gotta play what the coach gives you.
Yeah,
at that point, he's PK guy.
But also, Ross, and I think Travis Green has kind of mentioned this, it's not like he's not on the power play because everybody thinks he can't do it or he's not successful at it, right? It's just he's been given a different role, a more defensive style guy, and they're trying to get other players time on the power play. There's only so much power play time you can have, and when you have a PP1 unit like the Ottawa Senators do, the second unit doesn't even get that much time, or hopefully doesn't even need that much time.
Yeah, but they had Adam Gaudette on the power play all year. And Shane Pinto's a right shot as well. Shane Pinto could be a shooter too, man.
Yeah, again, I repeat, I don't think it's because a lack of trust or a lack of support that he wasn't on the power play. I think that's fair. But I do think, Ross, it's going to be interesting. I think that negotiation with Claude Giroux really kind of took a lot out of the management, Claude Giroux. And like Claude mentioned how that was probably his hardest and least favorite contract negotiation of his entire career. And I think maybe they're just like, okay, let's cool down, let's regroup, and then let's focus on this extension. But that's, I mean, other than Pinto, is there really any other extensions internally that Steve Staios needs to be looking at?
Well, just before I move on to that, with Pinto in a contract year, I think he'll say, yeah, the role's great, but you get paid based on numbers. So unless you want to account for the fact that I can and I would put up numbers on the power play, maybe we'll have to figure out a way to give me the opportunity to do it if the number doesn't come in. Because you can't say, hey, you're a $4 million player because, look, you've scored 20 goals and had 40 points. It's like, well, I'd probably be over 50 at least if I was on the power play all year, even on the second unit.
Yeah, but that's not always the case. I mean, there's guys that make big money that don't get any points. I mean, kind of a bad example, but look at that Samuelson guy for Buffalo. Didn't he get like a massive contract extension before scoring his first NHL goal? Like,
yeah, but that's a defenseman.
Yeah, that's I preface it by saying it's a bad example, but like there's teams know where value is, and it's not like the negotiation isn't just Shane Pinto's agent sliding over his hockey DB page with goals, assists, and points and plus minus. There's a whole lot more that goes into it, and when you look at how Travis Green utilized Shane Pinto, especially in the playoffs, in big moments up against the Leafs' top guys, there's value to be had there. And I don't think that they're going to cheap out on this because they know the value that Shane Pinto has and will have moving forward.
Plenty of time to discuss this offseason. Still some RFAs to be figured out. But next offseason, you ask Pilsy, what business do the Senators have to get done?
Yeah,
Claude Giroux again.
Yeah, but I was talking about this offseason. Let's get into next offseason signings that they have to get into.
I mean, they have to take care of this business by next offseason. So any of the guys mentioned, you can, if you want, start negotiating with everybody you can't negotiate with Claude Giroux, Lars Eller, Nick Cousins, or anyone who's signed a 1-year contract. So Levi Meriläinen until January 1st.
Yeah.
But the others you want to wait and see, right? Like Jordan Spence, you're not going to give him an extension before he plays the game with you. You want to see how the fit is and everything. Yeah,
probably.
So there's Jordan Spence as an RFA with arbitration rights, and then you've just got David Perron, and we'll see what happens with
or
that
Nick
one.
Jensen.
Yeah, Nick Jensen's another one.
Yeah.
Let's just get Nick Jensen healthy first before we start worrying about what a contract could look like. Hey, I love chatting with Oskar Pettersson, so let's get to that interview here now. And Pistol Pete, I mean, had a great finish to the year, 4 goals in his last 8 games of the regular season, moved back to wing, and he felt like it opened up a lot for him. So we'll let you hear in his own words, his experience at Sens Dev Camp, a couple players that impressed him there, and the year that was in Belleville. A whole lot of goofiness in between, too. We love chatting with Oskar Pettersson. So let's get to that here. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburnt at the lake. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups. I'm riding the Toronto Blue Jays hot streak here, and you should be too. And the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. Check out the Dingers promotion. I think it's like 50% profit boost on any home run hitter. I always make sure to take advantage of that. And who doesn't love cheering for home runs? It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet right into the 9th inning or extras, FanDuel makes it feel like I'm a part of the action. And there's no better time to sign up. If you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. So open up the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started.
All right, we now welcome a very, very special guest, one of our absolute favorites here on Locked On Senators. It is prospect Oskar Pettersson, coming off of Sens Dev Camp, and we're talking to him from a beautiful boathouse in Sweden. What's up, Oskar? Welcome back, man.
I mean, it's great. Happy to be back. Always a pleasure to join the podcast.
What is your summer routine looking like these days?
Oh, summer routine. My summer routine looks like it looked exactly a year ago when we spoke. Just finished off the dev camp and went straight to the summer cottage with the family. So that's kind of on my schedule right now. Just having a little week of rest here, catching up with the family, and then back into training again.
What kind of split do you have between on-ice training and off-ice training? Like, do you have like a strict kind of regiment you're sticking to in the off-season, or it's kind of how you're feeling that day? Or take us through your planning of your routine.
So I mean, last summer was my first summer by myself, or like not with a team, since that was my first summer working out without, like, prior to that I've always been with a team here in Sweden. So me and my strength coach kind of like um, analyzed what was good, that we can do better from last summer, and then you kind of like take the feedback that I have from Ottawa and Belleville, and kind of create a plan from that. So now, prior to Dev Camp, I actually went on ice a little bit more than last year. I was on the ice 3-4 times a week for whole June, which is quite a lot. But I wanted to ramp that up a little bit, just to be able to focus on a lot of different skill stuff and on ice stuff. But I'm still obviously doing my workouts. I have like 4 workouts off ice as well every single week, and in some of them they're strength and conditioning. But that's also why I'm taking some rest now. So this week is completely off, and then I'm gonna just doing off ice work for a couple weeks here upcoming, just to kind of get a break off the ice too, to be able to uh, to rest the hips and the groins and stuff like that a little bit more. And then on the ice again in August, first week August, late July, and that's kind of when I'm gonna like kind of flip the page and do a little bit more on ice, and the off ice is taking off a little bit. So that's kind of how I attack this summer.
Yeah, well, it was interesting to find that out because it was a busy season last year for you. Crazy to think, like, you're only 1 year removed from playing in the J20 League for a few games in Sweden. You obviously made the jump over to the American Hockey League in the middle of the season. You're at World Juniors. And then this year, you play more hockey than you ever have before. 67 games played. Like, how was that process in getting your body ready for going almost every other night?
No, I mean, that's probably one of the biggest challenges, to be honest. I mean, it's a big jump, and it's also like, it's one thing to play a lot of games when it's junior hockey, but when it's men's hockey, and every single game's like means so much to chasing the playoffs and making the playoffs and all that. It's obviously tougher. And then especially with the travel that we have in the AHL is tough too. So I feel like that's something that, like, you kind of learn new things every single day on how to prepare, how to get even more effective when it comes to your recovery, and how you can find things to get better, and find those percentages. But um, I mean, first full year, it was tough. It was also nice to be in one spot, type of, because like when you play in Sweden and you play junior, you're kind of all over the map, and then you have some national team breaks, and you're traveling in Europe and stuff like that. Now it was like you're in one spot, and like that's where you're at. So I mean, it was good in that on that part, but obviously it's a big challenge, and I think that's something that you'll just get more and more used to as every season goes on.
Well, you were on one team for the whole season, but you weren't playing just one position, Oscar. You were talking to us about playing some time at center. How much experience did you have playing center before this year, and how much time did you spend there this season?
Oh, I mean, I last time I played center before this season was maybe when I was 11, 12, and
Wow.
then you played center because you wanted to have the puck as much, and you went behind your own net and picked up the puck, and then you just skated all over the ice. That was kind of like why I wanted to play center back then. So pretty much zero experience from playing center, to be honest. And I mean, I don't know the numbers on it, but I know that I played more center than I played right winger. I think it's like quite a lot more than 50%, to be honest. Probably like a 70-30 or something like that. But it was a difference. Obviously, it was a big change. I had to take a lot of responsibility myself, and kind of like ask the assistant coaches and the head coach, obviously Belsey too. And they were great with me. They helped me out a lot. They gave me a lot of information, but at the same time, not too much at once. We kind of slowly watch that, like different stuff that is important as a centerman. And I think I did a good job of like picking things up pretty quickly, and I think that was also why I played it even more. It started as a, can you play center like this game, and then all of a sudden, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 games went by, and I played center pretty much every one of them. But I think I actually gained a lot from it, because when I played center for a long time and then went back to winger, it felt so much easier, because you kind of have a different like look at things, because you've been in the middle of the ice, which you weren't that used to. So you kind of, obviously you see stuff different from being in the middle too. And also like you got to skate more, and skating, as we've been talking about in the past, that's been a thing that I've said that I wanted to focus on. So that forced me to skate even more and become a better skater, and obviously take more responsibility in the D zone as well. So I think it really helped me develop a lot.
So is the responsibility in the defensive zone was clearly an area where you were trusted. I mean, you're on the PK a bunch in this season in Belleville as well, but from your first game at center until you started getting the hang of it, for lack of a better term, what was the best, whether it was a piece of advice or something you learned that helped you feel comfortable in the middle?
I think just understand that when you're in the middle of the ice, like that, and like as a center, it's a lot of like supporting your teammates. Then it's not about the pace all the time. Like you can rather slow down yourself and then pick up the pace once you get the puck, because I mean, if you're like past the situation, or you overskate a puck, like you can't change that, but you can always change of picking up the speed, if you know what I mean. It's easier to change it that way than if you're skate by it, you got to stop and then get back into the right position. So kind of get that mindset of like everything doesn't have to be done in max speed, when you're a centerman. That was a big learning point, and kind of find that. I mean, it's all about timing, and kind of find that, because once you become good at that, you can place yourself in really good spot and get the puck in really nice spots in the middle with a lot of space, and be able to skate up ice with it. So that was a big teaching point for me.
Were you taking a lot of draws, or did you have a winger that kind of helped you out with that? Like, how did that go?
No, but that's also like a reason, because that's a little bit how it started too. Because I did take quite a lot of draws when I was winger too,
Oh, okay.
since I'm a right shot, obviously, and especially on the PK and stuff like that. And then we saw at the rookie tournament that I was like quite a lot, like over 50%, and that I did pretty well there. And yeah, then obviously when I started to play center, I took more draws. So I did take a lot of draws, and that's something that, not like, if I knew that I was going to play that much center, I would have worked on it. But that's something that I've been working on a little bit more now throughout the summer as well, to be prepared for it, if I need to. Because obviously, as you said, that like I want to play a lot of PK, and in those like shutdown situations too. And then it's important to be good at taking draws.
So huge learning experience in Belleville this season, and you guys had so much roster movement throughout the year. Is that the similar situation as you see in Sweden at all, with guys coming in and out as much as they did, or was that kind of a new experience? You obviously had a taste of it last year, but just seeing throughout a full season just how much change there is.
I mean, compared to Sweden, no, not at all. Like you can play with the same guys on the same line for, like, we're talking months in Sweden without changes. And like it's not only like one line. Like if the team is playing good, and things are working, you can roll with the same four lines for, unless you get an injury, for, I don't know, like however long you want. But obviously that's a change. But I feel like I kind of picked that up pretty quickly when I came over my first year. That it's like you can't like really look here, because you never know what's gonna happen. So you're gonna just like be adaptive and kind of take it as it comes, sort of. Because like as you said, there's tons of changes all the time.
One of those changes was in goal. Obviously, injuries happen throughout an organization. Mads missed a ton of the season with Ullmark out. Levy went up. When did you know that Marilainen was the real deal? Like, were you surprised when he came up to Ottawa and was as good as he was?
No, not at all. I remember ever since I came over my first year, I always found it so hard to score on him, and especially on breakaways. And I mean, when you do like penalty shots in training, but like he's so good at especially that. So no, I wasn't shocked at all. I know Levy's a great goaltender, and he's so calm as a person, which I think translates very well to how he is as a goalie as well. calm and composed and all that. So I wasn't surprised at all.
Did you see the highlight of the shootout? It was Ottawa Boston, and Pasternak goes down. He makes a save and then just stares him down.
Yeah, no, I think we watched that game. A couple of the boys, me and my roomies, Jorian and Reeser. I think we watched that game together, and we were just laughing, laughing a lot. We had a good laugh about that stare down. So no, it was funny.
What a goalie! Eh? He comes into Ottawa, goes 8-3-1, 925 save percentage. He was great with you guys down there. It's just unfortunate, obviously, with the injuries there, that he only got to play 37 games, and Mads only got to play 8 this season. But going into next year, knowing you'll have one of those two guys, they're both on one-way contracts, but of course one will be down there. We think it'll be Mads coming off an injury like that. And then with what you've seen the organization do to add some depth, are you guys excited about what the expectations should be in terms of being a playoff team and potentially even more?
No, I mean, like, as we all know, like, we want to make the playoffs, and I think we're all on the same page when about last year, that we should have been a playoff team last year too. I think we was good enough for it, but unfortunately we couldn't get that done, and it was, what was it, that we lost it in the second last game?
It was close.
So it was super close, but I mean, there's no question about it that we should be a playoff team next year. And I mean, obviously it's a great start with having good goalies, and I think we really have we really have that. So I mean, that's just I mean, it's always like feeling really good when you have that security in the back end, obviously.
Who are the guys on the team that are keeping things light? Like, who are the funny guys on the team that make it easy to go to the rink every day?
Yeah, now with Igor gone, I'm sure there was a little personality that needed to be filled in the room.
Oh, who's that? I mean, there's a couple of names that like comes to my mind right away. Jan Yannick is a extremely fun character. He'll definitely bring a lot of smiles. Who else? Tyler is a really funny guy. He makes a lot of jokes and keeping things light too. I think Jorian is pretty funny too. And then like I live with Jorian this year too, so we get along pretty well too. So I think those are some names that are guys that are keeping it light and making everyone smile. But I think we had a really good team in that way last year too. So I feel like a lot of guys kind of brought in to that.
What's Oskar Pettersson like on a game day? Are you like Angus Crookshank level dialed in, don't talk to me, or are you one of those guys helping keep it light?
On a game day, I'm probably somewhere in between. I'm pretty dialed in, and I mean, Crooker is next level. I'll give him
crazy.
That. Yeah, he is. Don't get in his way. But I have my routines. I like to stick with those because I feel like that kind of creates a confidence within yourself, like when you're doing the same stuff and type of thing. So I'm pretty dialed in. I would say it's not like I'm not gonna talk to anyone, but I still got my headphones on and listening to my own Swedish music and stuff like that.
Yeah, is that what's on the playlist always?
And you know what? I'm not a guy who like have one playlist that I stick with. It all depends on my my vibe that day. Like sometimes it's hip hop, sometimes it's house music. Sometimes I even like listen to some calmer music to kind of calm myself down because sometimes I'm so pumped up before a game. So it's almost like I got to drag myself down a little bit. So that kind of depends on the day.
Are you superstitious?
That's like
that means yes.
But that is also like because I feel like every single hockey player is a little bit superstitious. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I do exactly the same routine off ice, on ice, but other than that, I don't do like anything.
What like are you crazy about like putting your right shin pad on first or tying your left skate?
Yeah,
is there anything like
is
that?
Is that really being crazy at this point? I feel like just everyone does that. I don't know. The people can people have to decide that, but no, I put like everything on in the same order. I do exactly the same warm up off ice. Like I start with juggling and then I do like go into the gym and do exactly the same warm up. And I have like warm up that I can do like exactly the same no matter if we're at home or playing away. And then on the ice I kind of do exactly the same things. Okay. Like if you watch game 20 or game 58, you'll probably see me do exactly the same type of stuff. So I don't know, maybe that's superstitious, but
How many balls can you juggle?
Only 3, unfortunately.
That's pretty good. You ever think
yeah.
about getting a 4th one in there, or you're sticking with 3?
I think that like I've tried it, but it's so hard. I usually just do like stuff like trying to like mix it up and go against the wall and like mix it up that way. But 4, I don't know, that might be a little bit too hard right now. I gotta have to work on that.
Could you juggle other like could you just walk into a room and just grab 3 random things, different sizes, and juggle them?
Apples.
Yeah,
No,
I'd be
3
able.
different
Yeah,
sizes.
Oh, like
No,
an
I'd be
apple,
able-
orange,
yeah,
and a
I'd be
banana.
able-
Exactly.
I'd be able to do
Banana might be
I don't
even
know
more
about
different, like a
banana.
lime. Like let's stick with
But-
circles, okay?
Yeah, no, I'd be able to do that.
Oh, okay, nice.
All right. Okay, we might have to get you in for a paid juggling
Circus act.
Exactly. Circus act. Cirque du Soleil coming soon to CAA Arena. Hey, you guys had a young team in Belleville, and especially on the back end, it could be really young next season. You got your chance at your 4th development camp, Oskar. I'm going to go out and say this will be your last development camp. 4 years, 1 for each year of high school, pretty much the equivalent. I'm thinking back, the only thing I can compare that I've done 4 times probably. But how different has each year felt? Obviously, you're wide-eyed and bushy-tailed the first year, just getting your feet wet. But how has each year developed to now, and we'll get into it, where you were given an honor at the end of camp as the hardest worker?
No, I think as you like mentioned, every single year has been pretty like unique itself. If I trying to remember anything from the first year, I pretty much don't remember anything because I feel like I was so nervous and it's like it's a whirlwind. Like I remember I got drafted. It was on the Saturday that year. Since the 2nd to 7th round was on the Saturday, or no, I don't know, whatever it was, Friday or Saturday, and I flew out on the Sunday. And I mean, like 2 days ago, you didn't know what organization you were gonna go to, and then all of a sudden you're on the airplane getting ready for the dev camp and all that. So like from the first year, I don't even remember anything, to be honest. Second year, I got sick when I traveled over, so I missed out the first like 3 days, and I was only there for the last day. So that was like, I don't know, it didn't happen too much that year.
Wow, Pillsy doesn't even remember chatting with us.
No, I did, but
Unbelievable.
I don't even want to remember that interview because if you look back at it, I can barely talk because I'm so swollen.
But we had fun. We were chirping Nordberg for never wearing a shirt in his Instagram.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. But that was pretty much what I did. I did that interview, and then I remember I played a 3-on-3 tournament the last day. But
Yeah.
like I missed every other like activity that year. Last year was like, I'd say last year and this year was like a little bit more similar because those 2 years where I came and I like had some experience of playing in Belleville before. You knew more guys, you knew all the staff better. So I just feel like it obviously like felt better those years because you're more comfortable, and I mean it's more fun when you know more guys around both like the players but also the organization. Like it makes it more fun obviously, and it keeps it a little bit lighter. So I'd say like those last 2 years has been not that the first 2 weren't good, but I mean being sick
Comfortable.
more comfortable. And I feel like when you're more comfortable, you can actually like bring more out of it because like you'll ask more questions and all that. So no, it's been great. Last week was great. I feel like I learned a lot and a lot of good stuff that I can bring home with me for the second part of the summer.
Not to put you on the spot, but was there a couple players that stood out to you on the ice?
Oh, it's tough. It's tough because like the way we approached it this year, like I wasn't even on the ice with some guys because it was always like divided into groups.
Right.
So I didn't even get the chance to see like all the players on the ice. But I'm trying to think from the guys that was in my groups.
And let's go with guys who maybe you didn't know before, right? Because like obviously you know the tendencies of the guys who you played with in Belleville and have seen over the years, but maybe someone who impressed you that you didn't like know what to expect.
Oh, I mean, I thought Hensler looked really good, like really good skater. And on a camp like this, when we do a lot of skill stuff, like you really like that's one part that you really get to see a lot. Like maybe you don't even get to see some like parts of some guys' games because like we're not in those type of situations. But like when we do a lot of Shelly skates and stuff like that, you really get to see if a guy's a good skater. So he stood out in that way. I thought he looked to be like he moves really good out there. And then when we played some small area games, like Yak scored some nice goals, like the skill level, but like that's nothing new. Like that's kind of expected. Like we've all seen that before. So I think like those two guys look good from the groups that I was in. As I said, it's hard to say because like a lot of skills work, a lot of Shelly. Like you don't really get to see guys in that way. And then also you're so focused on yourself, so sometimes you don't even look at other guys.
Yeah. Well, hey, you could be a scout then, because you noticed that the first round picks were the best players on the ice. Way to go, Oskar. Hey, quick story, just because you mentioned Shelly Kettles, because I remember I love going to Dev Camp, and you see the fans are always there out supporting in the summer. It's just a way to get, that taste of Sens hockey. And I remember going in 2011, 2010, around then, and you mentioned, Shelly still was there doing all the skating drills. And there was a player who fell almost every rep doing the skating drills. It was Mark Stone. So whether or not you're going at the front of the line, the back of the line, it's just cool to see at that stage of development. He was just a 6th round pick because of the skating, and then getting to see the development year over year like you've gotten to the last 4 years. It's super cool. It's also super special to get noticed for your hard work. And the Jonathan Pitre Memorial Award goes to the hardest worker at Sens Development Camp. Bear with me here. I'm going to read off all the names since the award was named in 2007. Colin Greening, Jesse Winchester, Robin Leonard, Eric Gryba, Mark Borvietsky, 2-time winner, Freddie Clayson, Curtis Lazar, Max McCormick, Nick Paul, Andreas Englund, Parker Kelly, and Brady Kachuk shared it. Then it was Parker Kelly, Ridley Gregg, Tyler Clevin, Jorian Donovan, and the man we're talking to, Oskar Pettersson. Let's take off last year's, because obviously it's too soon. But do you know what every player that I just mentioned there has in common?
Is it any NHL games?
They've all played at least 96 NHL games, and that was Tyler Clevin at 96, who obviously will play a number more.
Yeah.
It's pretty good company to be in, Oskar, man. I must have been pretty special. Take us through the moment you found out, and then kind of what the message was from management of why you earned that award.
And no, first of all, obviously, like we watched the video that they put together with kind of like the story behind it, video about Jonathan, and all that, and like when you see that, that's really like it's tough to see, but it also makes the award become worth even more. Because I mean, it's a tragic story, it's a tough story. To see and get to know about, and I mean, obviously felt super honored. Like I've always prided myself with hard work. Like that's for me where everything starts, because that's something that you can affect every single day. Like you can always make sure that you're coming up, or like you're showing up and working and really putting in max effort in everything you can do, and then like you'll at least put yourself in a good spot every single time, because you make sure you do what you can affect. So obviously like super honored, and when you mentioned the list, it's a great company. So just super happy that they thought that I did a good job and really like worked hard. And I think their message was just that, like, I'm showing up and working hard, and I'm also like not just working because of work, and I'm actually like asking questions and very interested to like find ways to get better, and I think that was the biggest message.
Did it make it even a little bit more special that your former teammate for a little while last season, now in player development, Sam Gagner, was the man who gave you the award?
No, 100%, because I feel like he has seen how I work on a daily basis in Belleville. So it definitely felt like good that he probably saw that already last year when we were teammates, and then that he felt the same now when he's in a different role in the organization. So 100%, it felt really good.
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you about Gagner, because it's so interesting to have him come play some games in Belleville. We were just talking to Stephen Halliday, and he's like, man, this guy's still got it. Like he didn't have to hang the skates up. He was still really good. What was it like having him in the room, and then when you learned that he was going to be a part of the staff, like that must be nice to have that familiarity and chemistry with a guy that you were just teammates with.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. He's a great pro. I mean, just by looking at the type of career that he's had, like there's not a lot of people who has such a great career like he had. So it was great. I was trying to pick up as much things as I could. At the same time, when it's your teammate, you don't want to, you know what I mean, stare someone down all the time. But I was trying to look at him, how he prepared his body, how he attacked, like every day, like how he yeah, got prepared for every single training, what he was doing in the gym, because like you can always pick up small things here and there that you can implement in your own game, or if it's on the ice, off the ice. And then like on the ice, he was always staying out extra, and I mean that was impressive to see where he was at in his career, that he was still, you know, always doing extra stuff on the ice and just like being a great like role model and example. So as a player, it was great to play with him. Big honor, and I mean, I'm super happy that he's still in the organization, because his high Q is so high that I feel like there's so much to learn from just by talking hockey with him. And yeah, just like at the dev camp last week, I picked up a lot of good like new drills that he showed us and he did with us, that I can implement for the rest of my summer from here back home in Sweden. So I'm just trying to try to ask him as much question as possible to learn more.
Yeah, it's awesome. And what a career he had. Even like coming in as a high pick, 6th overall, and then being I would say an elite NHL player for a little while. I
Oh yeah.
mean, not on the best teams, but then coming back from being sent back to the American Hockey League and playing almost a full season there, then making another mark in the NHL and getting a few extra years out of it. I think it's super, super impressive, and the kind of guy that when he speaks, I'm sure you guys as players are just all ears and trying to learn. Like I'm looking back too. You should ask him about this one day. You know, him and Patrick Kane were teammates in London in the Ontario Hockey League the year Patty Kane had 145 points in 58 games, and him and Gagne were doing their thing down here. But that's just one example of all the great players that he's played with, and I'm sure he's picked their brains. So now it's just passing the torch down. I know we already asked you years ago about having Daniel Alfredsson in the organization and the history of Swedes in Ottawa. We were talking before, like it feels like they draft a lot out of Sweden as well. How much does that familiarity help? Now there's some young guys coming in too. You look at 2024 draft with Gabe Eliasson in there, but having kind of a number of your countrymen, even bringing in Fabian Zetterlund in the NHL roster, like how much does that help the familiarity for you, whether it's just having someone to talk to every day or guys who you can kind of relate with on a personal level?
No, I mean it's great, as you said, like as you mentioned about the familiarity, to like always kind of have that. And I think especially like my first time in Belleville, that's when it like kind of mattered the most. Like looking back when I came over mid-season, like that's a pretty tough jump to do mid-season, because like the team is all like settled in and the guys know each other so well, and they've been going through the ups and downs already because they've been together for a couple months. And then you get over, you never played in North America, like you're not speaking your first language and all that. So then I know that I mentioned last year, I think, or whenever it was, that I had Larcy, Jacob Larson back then, and
Yeah.
he really he meant a lot to me. And then last year in Belleville, I had Philip Roos, and both those guys has had like experience from playing in different organizations, and they've been there for a couple years. So they had some experience and knew what was like what things were going what was going on, and just like all different types of questions that you can come up with, like they always had a good answer for me. So I think that really meant a lot that I had those guys throughout those first 1.5-2 years, because that's kind of like the period of when you get used to it. So it's been awesome. And obviously, like when I go to for example, the dev camp last week, to have a couple Swedes, like it's always fun. Can't deny that.
And they brought in a Swede as well from outside the organization. Do you know anything about Ole Lixell?
And no, like I don't know him personally. Obviously, I know who he was because like I've seen him play in the SHL and stuff like that. But like nothing more than that, to be honest. So it'll be fun to get the chance to get to know him as well.
Yeah, he seems like a sick player. He had a great year last year. So we're excited to see what he can do in the organization as well. Final question for me, Oscar, is what kind of communication do you have with the team during the offseason? I'm always interested to know how the team kind of make sure they're keeping tabs on you. Is there certain people that are checking in on you or that you have an open line of communication with in the offseason?
Good question. I mean,
Question.
first of all, you kind of like have your exit meetings and you get some like feedback there, and then you get an idea of you like what they want you to improve on. But like already, like you know yourself, like the self evaluation, like you know what you want to work on. But like I think they check in with the, so example, like my strength, like the strength coach in Belleville, he's talking to my strength coach. Because then they can give each other like, because there's a difference of like working with one strength coach in the summertime, because
Right.
like you work in one way throughout the summer and then the in season looks different. So like I know that they chat with each other, and then I stay in touch with the coaches, like for example in Belleville, like Stefan Leach, and he's been sending me some video from the Stanley Cup playoffs that I can watch, and then I can implement that in my training and stuff like that. So I say like you kind of stay in touch a little bit with everyone. So yeah, that's how I've been doing.
Hell yeah. Well, you're back in Sweden for the whole summer then, or are you going to Ottawa for a bit? Well, I guess you're just there, but what's the plan to get in ahead of training camp?
No, so just got back, as you said. I was gonna go to like travel somewhere in Europe, but I think I canceled that, because like once you're home over the summer, it's so nice to be at home as well. So just gonna be in Sweden for the rest of the summer now until I travel over again for training camp. As I did last year, I'm gonna get in a little bit before training camp starts, because I think it's nice to settle in and get used to everything, the time change, and just have a few weeks of training in Ottawa before everything starts. So yeah, I mean, it's, what is it, 2 months or something like that, even a little bit less, until I travel over again. So just trying to maximize the time with the family and friends and all that when I'm not training now for this time, and then it's back over again.
And we appreciate the hell out of you. Always love catching up. You're in an elite group. This is your 5th or 6th now. This might be the 6th appearance here.
According to the
The fifth.
LOSB stats department, this is 5.
This is 5. That's a
Gotta go.
group that includes
Good list.
Claire Hanna and Cheryl Pounder. Like, that's Dan Mad Sogar. That's an elite company. Have a great rest of your summer, man, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you so much. You guys too.
All right, stick taps to Oskar Pistol Pete Pettersson for joining us a 5th time on the show. We appreciate the heck out of him. What an absolute beauty. And we got more beauties coming this week. Billsy, what can we expect tomorrow on LOSP?
It is interview season here on the Locked On Senators podcast tomorrow. Yeah, speaking of beauties, Ross, we got Blake Montgomery coming on the show. # Wisconsens. It's always a blast to catch up with him. Last time we chatted with him, we had a lot of fun getting to know more about him. And
He's got more hardware since.
champion. So yeah,
The champ is coming.
stoked to catch up with BMO.
And then we got our first Ring of Honor this Friday.
Oh.
We are your team every day on the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your first listen here. We will be going down to 3 episodes a week next week. The interviews will continue. We'll get back to our Sens Central citizens. We got Ring of Honors every single Friday where we draft teams, put them out for a blind vote, and it always gets contentious. So we're looking forward to all that. Thank you for watching, listening, and engaging with the show. It means a lot to us. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.